I'm pretty excited to get to talk to Carnivore Coco Venus. I'm really excited to get to talk to her because I think it's helpful to hear lots of different people's stories about how they came to carnivore and how they're doing it. And when I first started, like, there were almost no resources. There was Amber O'Hearn and a few small forums, and so it really helped me to be able to talk to see other people and see how they're doing it. Hey, how you doing?
I'm great
tonight, so it's a little bit different. I don't normally wear them. How are you doing?
I'm great. What about yourself?
I'm pretty good. So I had a long day, but it was a good one.
I did too. Yes.
So I'm really excited to get to talk to you. You're like, pretty amazing. When I look at the things that you post and the stuff that you're eating, it's like, she's like me.
True. Yes. I post a lot of my, different meals. Like tonight I had a New York strip. Mm-hmm. And then I had some bone broth that I had made. So, that was a pretty good meal for me. And I pretty much do OMAD, and it's just by the nature of eating and having so much fat. And then, what the bone broth is so filling. So that's kind of, how I eat, but it's all carnivore.
Yeah. So there's a couple people on. And so if any of you have questions, feel free to ask and pipe up. So, I'm going to do my best to read, but, with classes and without, I'm do my best. I'm sorry.
No problem.
So, yeah. So tell me, how did you discover this way of eating and what got you to actually try it out?
So I started out with keto. And one of the reasons why I started out with keto is at my, I'm my high school assistant principal. So several of my colleagues and my teachers, they had started doing keto, and I had never heard of it. However, many, many, many years ago, I had done Atkins many years ago. So, I knew about low carb. I knew all about that. And my actual undergrad degree is in biology and chemistry. So I was not unfamiliar with carbohydrates, proteins, fats, and all of that. However, over the years, I've struggled with losing weight as I've gotten a little bit older, and, being a mom and such, but I've always worked out, and I pretty much have always eaten clean. And for I would honestly say for about the last 5 years, I was a constant meal prepper. Like I was known for doing that, and it would always be the chicken breast, the broccoli, and maybe just a little bit of a carb, and I would take it to work every day and just working out just constantly. But the weight never left me at all. And I was a yo-yo dieter. So when I heard about keto and that it was actually an old diet from many years ago for epilepsy. And so I started to do the research, and I was actually kind of shocked at the amount of research that was out there about keto and the ketogenic diet.
I know, isn't that stunning?
Yeah, right. It was like it was hidden. Yeah. So I started keto. And I really did not get the keto flu like most people do. And I'm assuming it's because I may have been eating clean for so long, pretty much, every now and then, I would have like a little cheat day or what have you. But I did keto for about a year. And when I first started out, I tracked my macros accurately. Like I had the macro tracker and everything, and I was eating lots of coconut oil, lots of avocados, was really watching my protein and, you know, very small amounts of carbs and such. And I did find success. I really did with keto. I probably lost, I would say, about 15 pounds just on keto. And just, you know, constantly researching about keto, looking at the different keto diet books and all of that, you know. I did that for about a year. And I do not know how it was. I was just researching, and I probably it was something on Twitter. And you know who it was? Yes, I do. It was the video of Sean Baker on Joe Rogan. That's what it was. I happened upon that, and I listened to that, and I was like, whoa, only meat? And I've heard a lot of people who are on carnivore, that was the actual you know, video or podcast that they saw that really got them to switch over to carnivore as well. And so I decided to go all in. And because it was those last probably 10 pounds I was trying to lose. Mm-hmm. But when I really started looking at carnivore and going deeper into it, the main thing was about the gut issues. Yeah. And all of my life, and my mother even says when I was a baby, I would have really bad gut issues, you know, with really bad gas and such. And just literally all my life, I have suffered from chronic gut issues. And carnivore is what totally changed it for me. Totally changed it. Like gas, bloating, just upset, the idiopathic chronic constipation, gone to the doctor. I was on many years for different types of IBS type of medication, even the ones that they took off the market. I think one was called Zelnorm many years ago, and it was another one. And I developed a few side effects from that second one, but both of them are off the market now. And I just pretty much suffered, right? So what was the carnivore really healed my gut issues, number one. And, you know, the weight loss and everything is great, you know, which I have significantly lost those last little, you know, bothersome little pounds. However, the shape and the physique, my body is a lot better, but the gut issues is number one, was the reason why. That was it.
Wow, that's really fantastic to hear.
Yeah.
So, I mean, did you ever like go to the doctor and say, hey, you know, you gave me all this medicine and now I just, you know, dropped eating like carbs and stuff and anything from the plant kingdom, and now I'm so much better. Like, did you ever do that?
Well, I went this past year. I had my annual, you know, with my gynecologist, and she noticed that I had lost a lot of weight. She's like, wow, you know, and I told her it was from keto and that I went to carnivore, and I was so knowledgeable about it to whereas she was really listening to me. And she's Italian, which is, you know, she loves, you know, she talks about how she loves pasta and everything in her family. But she even said her husband started a low carb diet because he was having some issues. But I told her about it, and she did say that, you know, it's unusual, you know, how can eating all this fat and everything. And she's going by what she learned as a doctor, you know. But she says because you're healthy and you're very knowledgeable, you know, she was okay with it. The only thing is when my blood work came back, of course, my total cholesterol was high. Mm-hmm. And my white blood cell count was somewhat low for whatever reason for that test. And then I took my blood work and I put it in Dave Feldman's cholesterol code. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, I meet all the criteria to being a, lean mass hyper responder, all the criteria.
Oh, and, wow. Okay.
Yeah, like perfectly that
so
particular.
I haven't been to his website in a while. Is there some kind of like formula where you just plug in your numbers? Oh,
yes,
okay.
Yes.
Gosh, I'm behind the times then.
Yes. That's what I did. And it was so funny because the description of a lean mass hyperresponder is, you know, your body physique, you're a little bit more muscular, more lean mass, you're more athletic, which I've always been athletic, always involved in working out, like always involved in sports, played tennis. And then the main thing was you have difficulty with extended fasting. And I cannot like go over 48 hours. Like you doing the 5-day water fast. I'm like, how does she do it? 48 hours, I am literally going blind almost. Like I can't see, I can't concentrate. My mind is like, what's going on? So yeah, between 36, 48 hours, I'm good. After 48 hours, I'm delirious.
Well, well, you know, we all just got to know our own strengths and weaknesses and just like play to that.
Right.
So you must know that as an athlete, of course.
Right.
So that's great that you kind of figured that out. So your doctor's not like pushing you to get on a statin, or she's just kind of like, all right, let's wait and see.
No.
Okay.
Like she was to say that, like I would be like, absolutely not. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, the caveat to all of this is that one of the reasons why I'm really involved in my health is because we have in our family, we have the 4 matriarchs, which is my grandmother and her 3 sisters. And all of them died of, you know, health issues. Like my grandmother died early 60s of a heart attack, and this was in the 1980s. Then her sister Leela, probably about 2 years later, died of a heart attack. Wow. Then before they both passed, my aunt Gussie, she died of cancer. And then many years later, the baby, you know, the girl, she ended up dying eventually of complications of diabetes. However, she was in the nursing home and she had half of her leg amputated. So, right.
From diabetes or?
Yes, because complications of, you know, diabetic neuropathy, you know, that they get. And, you know, you could probably hear it in my voice. I'm very Southern. I'm from Alabama. So, you know, the traditional food and culture and the way of eating, you know, for us. And so I have a cousin, Tasha, her mother and my mother are sisters. And she and I are probably the ones in our family who really watch our weight, are really into health and wellness. And because we saw it, you know, in our grandmother, and then also in our, you know, great aunts, and even in both our mothers. Both of our mothers have, you know, high blood pressure, and my mother and my aunt have been on Weight Watchers for probably 30 years. And I'm just being right. They've always done that. So we have some, you know, significant health issues as Black women in my family. And I just, you know, I had to take control of my life. But it's interesting because my way of thinking is just totally different than everyone else. Because like my cousin Tasha, she's a vegetarian. So, right. Yeah. So here I am, a meat eater, but yeah, she's a vegetarian. Yeah.
So you got to be a certain kind of personality type to, you know, to kind of go out on a ledge. I mean, doing carnivore it's not the norm. And it's, you know, and you're going to have to go against everyone. And, you know, everyone is going to think that you're doing something that is harmful for your, you know, your long-term health and longevity. Right. So, like, you know, you must have that personality type. How did you come to do something that's so countercultural?
Well, right. So, you know, for me, and I do kind of have that personality. I do. Plus, you know, I'm a little bit older now. You know, I'll be creeping towards 50 in the next few years, and I'm like, I want to look good. I want to be that 50-year-old who looks like she's like 25. You know, But and my personality is pretty much it's always been like that, you know, the little bit of the black sheep, you know, and then pretty much doing what I want to do, you know. So yeah, it doesn't.
Well, it's working for you, and it's working for me. So,
you're right.
Francis Joy Group says we both look great, and our skin, teeth, hair, and smiles.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, thank you. Right. True,
well, that was why I put that post up today about eternal youth and beauty. I mean, you know, I guess that was a little bit, I don't know. I mean, it was a little full of myself, but at the same time, I think that I do want to attract people to Carnivore for that reason. I do think that it provides greater youth and beauty. I mean, whatever your is, it only gets improved by Carnivore. But when you look at, you know, the way other people eat, either on the standard American diet or, you know, on vegetarian and vegan, I don't know that people grow better looking and more full of life on ways of eating.
Right. Very true. And then, you know, even with both the keto and the carnivore, when you're looking at, you know, I always try to look at the research from the medical doctors and the PhDs who, you know, are supporting keto and carnivore. Like I really, you know, watch their podcasts and their YouTube videos and just really into the science, because that's my, you know, background. I'm like really into the science of it. Yeah. So when I started looking at, you know, hearing Dr. Georgia Ede, when she was talking about the mental aspect, and, you know, she's a psychiatrist, you know, board certified psychiatrist, and, you know, how she was talking about keto and carnivore. And I'm like, oh, wow, that makes perfect sense. How the nutrition, you know, follows the same pathways as, you know, like autism, epilepsy and such, you know, and I'm like, oh, wow. And I actually got kind of angry when I first started really learning about keto and carnivore, because my son, well, he's 19 now, but I think about how I could have been nourishing him for 19 years, you know, if I would have known about this. And I did exactly what a lot of health conscious people, you know, when they think about mainstream media and such, I had, you know, him on soy milk. He used to drink that and such, because that was supposed to be more nutritious and healthier, you know, not this cow's milk. And oh man, and you know, I was really upset. I really was, because I was like, you know, that's actual hidden knowledge, you know, to keeping us from thriving, you know. So yeah.
That is scary, and then it's hard to, you know, it's hard to figure out how to feel about that. But you know, at the same time, I mean, I don't know about your son, but I know that I always loved beef. I always hated milk. And there were certain things that, you know, I mean, as much as I love candy and pastries, and you know, I'm like made of candy, and in fact, my name means sweet. But I did always love beef, and if there was ever an opportunity to choose what I was going to eat, like without question, it was going to be beef. And like, you know, every now and then I might order like salmon, and everyone at the table would give me like, who are you? Did something happen?
Right.
So, you know, I wonder if he, in his own natural desires, like, did a lot to protect himself. Like, did his taste drive him towards things that are more nourishing?
Right.
I don't know. I wonder that.
True. Well, he's 19, and he's actually in the U.S. Air Force. So when he graduated, you know, the Air Force is pretty tough, and they have certain standards that you have to make. So his one standard is he was over their weight limit. However, right. And he was a little extra. I'm not gonna lie, he really was. And that's because, you know, he's the typical teenager eating pizza and, you know, French fries, and, you know, but he was always very active, which was good. So I told him, you know, his recruiter told him, listen, you got to lose this amount of weight before I can send you to get your physical to be processed for the Air Force. And I put him on a carnivore diet and for a month. And within a month, he had not only met his goal weight, which was like only losing 8 pounds, but he's exceeded that. And I told him, you know, I'm like, for you to go to boot camp or basic training, you need to be a lot healthier and such. And so he's kept it up, you know, and I'm pretty proud. Right, he does. Now, he does still, you know, have carbs and such on occasion, but they are not the basis of his diet. He says mainly it's meat and it's mainly like chicken and he's vegetable. So he's more, you know, on the keto side, but he does, you know, on occasion, he has his little junk food. He's 19, of course, you know. Yeah.
Wow, that's really awesome.
Yeah.
So getting into like, you know, the mechanics of this, like, how did you decide like what to eat? Are you a grass-fed or a grain-fed person? And then I noticed that you do actually eat quite a bit of fat. So do you try to get up there to the 2 to 1? How do you get more fat in? I mean, that really, the mechanics of how you get more fat in is, you know, that's hard. So let's hear what you do.
Right. So for me, when it comes to the meat, you know, I'm going to be really honest. Sometimes I do grass-fed, but at the same time, you know, I'm at Costco. So I go to Costco to get the steaks. And, you know, Costco has some pretty decent ribeyes, and that's my favorite cut of meat. I love ribeye. Love them. And another, what I really love is ground chuck, because, you know, chuck has more fat in it than the other ground meats like ground beef and everything. So I get ground chuck and I can just eat about a pound of that within my bone broth. And about every 10 days or so, I make my own bone broth. And a lot of people, they strain off that fat cap of their bone broth, but I don't. I actually put my bone broth in the mason jars. And when I'm pouring it in there, the fat cap is like that in each jar. So, you know, I'm having bone broth probably about 5 days out of the week. Ribeyes and ground chuck about 7 days between those two. You know, sometimes there's some lamb in there, but I eat every single part of the animal. I eat a lot of pork belly. I love pork belly. You know, my poor air fryer, you know, I need another one because I work that thing to death.
Wait, you cook pork belly in the air fryer?
Yes, yes.
Oh my God. How do you do that? Did you see I posted a video about cooking pork belly, but I did it in the oven. I didn't know you could do it in the air fryer.
I put mine in the air fryer and I kind of cut it into smaller little pieces and I put it in there and just shake it and have that Redmond's real salt and it comes out nice and crispy.
Wow.
And that's almost like an appetizer for me while, you know, I'm getting ready to make my either ground chuck or maybe my ribeye. And I cook my ribeyes in my air fryer. The cool thing about cooking pork belly in the air fryer is, you know, it drains off a lot of that fat, but that's good stuff because I have a jar with all that good pork grease, you know.
Your house is full of mason jars.
Right. So, and I just reuse it literally. And probably about a couple months ago, I discovered pork pigtails. And the cool thing, I cook my pigtails. If I can't find pork belly, I will cook pigtails in the air fryer with some Redmond's real salt because they sell them at Publix. And it has a little bit of the skin on it and just enough of the meat. And, you know, that's like a good appetizer while my steak is cooking and such. Yeah.
Wait, so I'm sorry. So the pigtail is, I mean, is it like mostly cartilage? Like, what is it?
It has small bones in it, and around it, it has a little bit of skin and a little bit of meat. So you have to cook probably about 2 or so just to get, the little bit of meat and the skin, the crunchiness and the good fat. And, it just tastes really good. It's a perfect appetizer.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah. I'm in New York City. I mean, I have never seen anything like that in the store. Yeah. I mean, and it's hard to find oxtail even. I mean, I have
and I do oxtails too, right?
Yeah. I have to go to a Jamaican neighborhood to find oxtails, and then then it's not even that great. It's hard to find. So wait, so pigtails are they're oxtails essentially. I mean, it's a different animal, but
right. It's the same pigtail. Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Because the one I finally did get some oxtails and I made them, I was like, oh my God, this is it, hands down. Yes. I mean, you like your ribeye, but I definitely moved away. For me, flank and cut short ribs is amazing. Right. And I love that you can grill them. And I think I learned from the butcher that it's a different cut than the English cut short ribs. So and they're taking it from a different part of the rib. So I think you can see it's from up here where it doesn't work as hard, but further down where there's more muscles that work harder. Right. That's where the regular short ribs that you're used to come from. So that's why you can grill the flanking cut because it's not as tough a meat. So that is my number one favorite. And then number two would be the oxtails. And now number three, I gotta try, I do love the pork belly. And now I'm gonna have to try the pigtail. So does it come with like a whole twirl or is it cut?
It's cut, right. They have it cut, yeah.
This is what I'm imagining on the plate. It's these little spirals of tail.
Right. But being that I'm here in South Florida, every Caribbean culture is here. So going to the regular grocery store, you're going to find pigtails, pig feet, pig ears, because we have, like everything here, Caribbean. And then, of course, oxtails. Oh, my gosh. Oxtails in the regular grocery store all the time, Yeah.
Well, let's see. Rome says something, that he killed his, Conquering Rome says he killed his air fryer too. Yeah. That's funny. Yes. And then Sonny Bates says pig feet are better. My grandfather used to eat pickled pig knuckles all the time from the jar when I was a kid. So and Sonny Bates asked if I'm from the Caribbean. I'm not. My family is from North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And one of my ex-boyfriends was actually from Mobile, Alabama.
Oh, cool.
So I heard about all the different delicacies, but he kind of grew up on all kinds of seafood because I guess Mobile is right on the water.
Right there, right.
And my only leftover thing from him is I have a T-shirt or a long sleeve shirt that says Alabama. The whatever your football team is. Yes. So now when I wear it around
roll tide, right?
All of a sudden Ben will start screaming it out of me, and I'm like, what? So but I kind of am jealous a little bit. I think a couple of fasts ago, I noticed that on my fast, I get these incredible cravings for fat. And so I think, that might even be the issue that you're facing, getting over a prolonged through a prolonged fast. But I had this incredible craving for fat. And so I decided to kind of try to find a company somewhere that makes cracklins, pork rinds are okay, but cracklins are bomb. And, try to find one. And I had my mom ordered 3 pounds of cracklins from some company, I think called Clifty Farms. And they're not pastured or anything like that. But But it was good, you know, and I was kind of like, I, you know, really would like that. And I don't really find that in the stores these days. The one company that makes the pork cracklins, it's okay, but, you know, it's not great, in my opinion. So, yeah.
Right.
Go ahead.
So,
Andressa asked if we eat seafood.
Yes. Yeah. I do. Yeah. I love salmon. Sometimes I get the salmon roe, you know. So
that's good too.
Yes, yeah.
Definitely.
I eat lots of eggs.
How did you even discover salmon roe? Like that seems like a well-kept secret.
It had to be one of the podcasts that I was watching. I'm sure that's where it was, you know. And I do the salmon roe. I eat lots of eggs, and it's so funny as I've always loved eggs. However, before keto and carnivore, I was only eating the egg whites. That was it, and I was, of course, throwing away the yolk because, oh no, you need the protein. No, I would make these egg white omelets with spinach and mushrooms, right? Because hey, you know, that's all healthy and such. Now it's total opposite. Like I'll make ground chuck and then I will crack, you know, 2 eggs. I'll throw the whites away and I'll put the raw egg yolk in there, you know. So yeah.
Are you finding that you're having any oxalate dumping? For all the years of having the spinach and everything?
I may have earlier on because I would my eyes would get like these prickly feelings, you know, and I read somewhere that could be oxalate dumping. But I haven't had any other, you know, major issues, any rashes, itching. You know, some people describe that, but yeah, I haven't. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. I know when I see people getting these smoothies now, I'm just like, oh, I want to say something, but I can't.
And my favorite food forever was always mangoes. I live in South Florida, so I am surrounded by mango trees during mango season. Like I have a mango tree. My neighbors have mango trees, and we all have different mangoes. So, and, you know, mangoes are, you know, for those of us, like I'm originally from, you know, Alabama, but my family has Caribbean roots. So, you know, mangoes, tropical fruits. And so during the summer, like I would just get mangoes off my tree, off my neighbors' trees, and they would do the same. And that's what I would eat all summer would be chicken breasts and mangoes, And when I started keto last summer, I had a very nice mango harvest, and I did not eat not one single mango.
All right, bravo.
Yes. So I think I'm over my mango addiction, but that has always been my favorite food. They're so delicious.
Wow. Well, I'm very impressed that you were able to get over that. And, So how much weight did you lose altogether?
Probably about 35 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So Conquering Rome says we're teaching him about all the different things to eat, and he never knew about pigtails. Yeah. I'm learning about all sorts of new things too that, you know, like, I mean, I wouldn't have tried any of these things.
Right.
Let's see. Moni, oh my God, I can't read this. Moni Sherelle says, my family is Caribbean, and she loves light mangoes too. Just in moderation. And and a lot of people still love mangoes. I mean, I don't want to necessarily tell people like don't ever eat fruit, don't ever eat vegetables. But I really have tried to focus on how these things, you know, treat me. And you know, and like you have like discovered as you started to do your research, is that these things cause a lot of problems.
Right,
And,
right.
you know, if you're young and very healthy and very metabolically flexible, perhaps you can handle these things.
Right.
But, you know, I'm 48 now, so I don't, you know, I'm pretty brittle. And so I think that I have to be much more careful. And I think I've spent a lot of years, you know, trying to diet, being restrictive, doing crazy things.
Right.
And so, you know, it's that time is over for me.
Right. Me too. Right. Right. I feel exactly the same. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't have it in me anymore to, you know, be so restrictive, to count calories. Like I just cannot count calories ever again. I don't ever want to do that. And I find it's easier for me to fast a couple of days than it is to eat a smaller amount of calories each day.
True. Very true.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
it's
but
like,
listen, go ahead.
Well, like for me, you know, I think it was Nutrition with Judy was saying something about you have the moderators versus the abstainers when it comes to certain type of foods. I am a total abstainer because I know if I eat a mango, it's going to trigger. I already know. So I have to abstain from it. Same thing. I would be that person to whereas my mom used to always make during the holidays is Nestle Toll House cookies. Like she's famous for that. She would have to make lots of it because when literally they're coming out the oven and we would eat them as they're coming out of the oven. So it is that total addiction to those carbs, that sugar. And I can't have it because I know that's a trigger for me. I'm just being honest. I can't. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, mango has a lot of sugar in it. Yes. I mean, if we were talking about blueberries, you know, maybe it would be a different story. Right. But yeah, mangoes, that's hard. Yes. I don't know. Right. Let's see, we have a couple of people commenting. Selena still loves mangoes. Yeah. Tabik says, we look 25. So awesome.
Oh, that's sweet.
Thank you. And then Selena says she's 47 and can handle and can't handle multiple mangoes anymore, but once in a great while she's okay.
Right.
And Conquering Rome says he has to abstain from grapes and pineapples. Yeah, those are like the highest sugar.
Right. And same thing. Number 2 for me was pineapples. I love pineapple. And number 3 is peaches. So they're all kind of in that same tropical family together. And those were my top 3 fruits. I could eat them all day. Just give me a chicken breast and give me those fruits and I'm happy. But metabolically, I was, you know, I'm sure I was headed in that direction of diabetes, you know, that's in my family, you know, so, yeah.
Moni Michelle says, I have to be careful with carb sugar, but I find that I can have a small amount and feel as happy as I used to from a whole bunch. So if you can do that, you are so lucky. Just enjoy that space and be there. Because I too am an abstainer, not a moderator, and it's just really hard for me. And actually, my mom ordered like 2 crates of peaches from Georgia, no less. And and I was like, oh, I gotta try this. So in August, I basically ate like 8 peaches. Oh my God. But of course my body rebelled because, you know, 8 peaches, you know,
that's a lot. That's a lot of sugar and fiber, right?
Yeah. So, but you know, every summer I seem to do that. You know, it's either 2 pounds of cherries I sit down and eat all at once because they're delicious. And, but I felt like it was hard to say no to those peaches because they flew in from Georgia. They were the epitome of what I remember as perfect peaches. Like, you know, being in New York, you know, it's hard to get like that real good quality fruit. But, you know, but there is like a 2 or 3 week period when these fruits are really in season and then they are perfect. So, so that's my confession.
For years, my go-to dessert for like family gatherings is I make homemade peach cobbler. And so, that was always, oh, you bring the peach cobbler, it was always a big thing, a peach cobbler for Thanksgiving and then for Christmas, so, I don't make it anymore. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not contributing to your metabolic syndrome anymore.
Well, I was known for red velvet cake and had this, the same problem.
Yeah.
So I made it I think my first holidays after I started low carb, and then thereafter I didn't make it anymore. But people were upset.
Right,
people
right.
were very upset.
True, very true.
So, but
Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody else is, let's see, on here is sort of reminiscing about the things that they struggle with. So Selena says she's tried a few blueberries and it didn't go well. That's too bad. I hope, was that gastrointestinal or did it give you a lot of cravings? Mm-hmm. And then Tanny Blue, it's cherries. Yeah, cherries.
Mm-hmm. Cherries, right.
And Conquering Rome said red velvet is the other kryptonite. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that's what it for me, those things, that's what it triggers cravings. And that's what it is. It does the gastrointestinal part, but it just triggers those cravings. And I don't like the way that feels. Like it's true addiction. I really believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it too. And I feel for sure that I have a sugar addiction. And I think back to my early years and the first time I had sugar and how much I craved it and desired it as a child. And I absolutely had a problem, from the get-go.
Right.
So, going carnivore and then adding in this piece of fasting has really laid bare a lot of my addictions and attractions to food that, that I've never really dealt with and saw, how deeply tied I was to food. And so with fasting, I'm starting to get used to living life without eating and without going to food for emotional support. And that is a new experience for me that I've never done before age 48. Right. And so it's been a trial and it's still a process that's unfolding as we speak. So, yeah, I'm glad I'm doing this. I really think it is profoundly important. And I'll just put a plug in. I have my fasting group on Slack. So if you're interested, send me a direct message and I'll add you to the group. But we support each other. We, send each other messages and, come on, keep going and all of that. And that has been so, so helpful because there's no way. Every time I, thought to fast, it's at 16 hours, it's oh man, I'm hungry. But with the group and having some accountability, I've been able to push through. And I will say day 2 is the hardest for me. But once I get past that, then day 3 and day 4 and day 5 is not as hard. But this time I just, I don't know. I just couldn't go on. So 72 hours is going to be it for me this time. So we'll see.
Listen, I could not make it past 48. I was angry. I was upset. I was delirious. If I don't have any food, something's gonna happen. So, I called it I was literally counting the minutes and the seconds to 48 because I was I gotta eat something, So yeah,
you might be too slim. That's the thing too. So let's see, we got a couple more comments. So Selena says, so this was the first holiday for Thanksgiving that she didn't gain weight and kept it carnivore-ish. So yes, bravo.
That's good. Right.
And let's see. Conquering Rome says, Ada, I can completely relate to what you just said. I'm not sure what it was I just said, but but I'm glad you related. And to Tanny Blue says, sweet things were once so rare that they that the mechanism of craving encouraged us to gather what fruits we could to fatten up for winter. Yeah, you know, I think that that is such an interesting and great point. And like, so like you, in my like former life, or, you know, in school and stuff, I studied anthropology. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So yeah, I was getting my PhD in anthropology, but I was always interested in archaeology and in evolutionary, well, the study of evolution. And so once when I first heard about low carb, it was like a light bulb went off, and I was like, of course, this makes total sense. You know, there was farming, you know, that was like 10,000 years ago, but for the previous million, there was no farming. And so it really made sense to me. And so I never had to, you know, push it thereafter. But the fat part is what was so hard to grasp, because we've been so conditioned about fat. And I, you know, denied what that fat craving was for me. And I think that our brains can only give us cravings and guide us towards the experiences that it's had. And so since I haven't had the experience of, or the opportunity to eat large amounts of freestanding fat, it was hard for me to get that. So the cravings I got were for, you know, like a bacon cheeseburger, French fries, because these are places to get fat, even if it's not quality fat. And so I think a lot of my cravings are kind of about that. And so I'm trying now to just flood my body with the fat that it's craving. Do you find that to be true?
Well, I love the fat, and I think with keto that really helped me desire it, you know, get a taste for it even more. So like I said, when I'm making my bone broth and, you know, I still had that fat cap, I'm eating all of that fat. I love ribeyes. I eat the entire ribeye, every single piece down to the fat. And even when I'm, you know, shopping for ribeyes, I'm looking for the one, okay, what has the most fat on it? Because, okay, yes, it has all.
I know the butchers are always like, you want the least fat? And I'm like, no, I said most. And they're like, the least. Look at this one, lean. And I'm like, no, you're not hearing me.
Right, exactly. And you put that, you know, that ribeye and that extra fat, those little pieces in the air fryer. Oh my gosh. It's
I know. Yes. So what do you do with the rendered fat? Like, does rendered fat upset your stomach to eat a lot of it, or what?
It's every now and then. When I first started, it was brutal. It was brutal. But I got used to it. And now it doesn't bother me at all.
Really?
Yes, it does not. Yeah.
So I guess I'm going to have to keep pushing through with it, because like I still, because, you know, like when I crisp up the fat, like it leaves a lot of rendered fat. And I'm like, what do I do with this? At a certain point, like it's just too much.
Right.
So,
true. Right.
Okay.
And so I'm
going to keep pushing on through. My stomach will get used to it, and that will be fine.
Yeah. Like,
because I saw you eat it like out of a spoon, and
Yep. And it was some time, listen, I would have eaten my little meal and I'm watching TV on the couch and I'm like, oh, I gotta go. Like I was running. Like,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because there are times when I feel like I still want to eat. And like, if I get a ribeye, I don't know how much you eat in a day, but I can't eat like 2 pounds. And so when I get one ribeye steak, it's too much. Yeah. But I feel like I want to eat more. But I know I don't want to eat. It's not that I want more of. And I realize now it's really the fat that I want more of. And so, how to do that.
Do you do bone broth or?
Well, I have taken to roasting bone marrow.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
So that's really delicious too. And I eat that. Yeah. So now my bone broth doesn't make a lot of fat, because I roast the bones, I eat it, and then I put the bone in the bone bag.
Right.
But when I make the bone marrow, it's like there's nothing really left. So.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So, but I had a really big, giant beef knuckle that I had ordered from, what is it? Eat Nose Tail, Food Lies, you know. And I made a bone broth. And I think, I had posted it, it had that perfect jiggle to it. And that fat cap was so thick. And that's just off of that one huge bone knuckle. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm always like thinking back as, my former anthropology, brain, thinking back, like, when out in the wild, when people were like, killing woolly mammoths and eating that, were they really getting this much fat? And it's hard to wrap my head around, but I think that they actually were.
Right.
And so, I've been trying to like come to grips with, or come to terms with, eating this much fat and being okay with it. So I love seeing your plates, another Black woman who's, doing something that, is way out in left field and really thriving from it. I mean, you look great, so if anybody, so if anybody needs an incentive to kind of eat this way, it's kind of like, maybe it does work.
Thank you. One of my concerns is in this space, and it is not us. And what I mean by us, as in people, of African descent, what I'm saying, minorities. And that concerns me because when it comes to diabetes, heart disease, any metabolic syndrome, it impacts us more. So that's one of the reasons why I want to be a little bit more visible and more of a presence and tell my story of how my family, the history that I have, because, our diets, yes, it is based upon, high carbs, a lot of beans, a lot of rice. If you're from the Carolinas, that's my son's family. They're Geechee, they from the Carolinas. So yes, it's about that rice. And so, we have to start really looking out for ourselves and understanding that this is a space for us. And we need to have these positive health outcomes as well, because all of the negative outcomes are, it's basically people who look like us. And that is what concerns me the most. It does. Yeah.
Well, I think it's important. This is why I'm doing this, is for us to tell our stories. Because, you saw Sean Baker on Joe Rogan and you were able to take something out of that. But I think a lot of people are kind of like, this is a little too masculine for me.
Right.
And, that's why I like make my posts pink. And, I try to give to let women know that not only should we be doing this, but we need it more. Our bodies are even more and require proper nutrition, which we often don't get, and like our whole culture, kind of sets it up that way. So if I go out to a restaurant with a man and I order steak and he orders like the chicken salad, they're always going to put the salad in front of me.
Right. Always. That's true. Very true. Right. Yeah. That's true.
So I'm glad that you're able to tell your story. So what's next for you? Everybody, so Lion Shares actually asked if we're going to put this on YouTube. And yes, I am. On my channel, I have Healthy Keto Living with A-Day is my YouTube channel. So I'm going to put it up there and I'll let everybody know about it. But how about you? Do you have a YouTube channel? What do you do?
So not yet. Because I'm trying to, I'm going through some personal things right now that I have to situate, and so after that, I want to become more of a presence for women, who look like me, in honor of the four matriarchs, of my family, to helping us understand that we can have these positive outcomes. Mental health and physical health, they all go hand in hand, and it all starts with nutrition. And we just have to be willing to, put away some of those old-fashioned things that we were always taught, and which was for our survival, which is okay. But now we can move beyond that. Right.
Yep. Oh, that's great. Well, definitely let me know whenever, that thing goes live, and I'll definitely publish it. And I would love to be able to do this kind of conversation again. I see we have a lot of supporters here, really excited.
I see that, yes.
Yeah. So, Selena, yes, absolutely. You can join the fasting group whenever you're ready. Just send me a DM. And and Conquering Rome was saying that what I was saying about the relationship between food and me and food, and he related to that. So that's awesome. And raw bone marrow. Selena likes raw bone marrow. Yeah, I tried it raw, but I don't know. I mean, I just got it at the regular supermarket, and I kind of thought, maybe I should get a better quality bone marrow before I start eating it raw.
Do you eat liver?
So I've been trying, and I got to the point where I was making pate, and the pate was pretty good.
Right.
But, I kind of go in and out of it, and right now I don't have any, so I'll have to go back to it. Yeah. Why? How about you? Do you?
Yes, I love liver, yeah.
Did you love liver before, or is
I did. I did.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I grew up like a Southern Alabama, liver and onions, and I was a real funny person who actually liked it. So, now I'm cooking it without the gravy and the onions, but I like the taste of the liver. I do. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, good.
Yeah,
you're lucky. I mean, I'm still learning like different kinds of meat and trying to get used to it. And but you're a big bone broth person, so you must find it has a lot of health benefits too. Yeah.
That's probably one. I have it almost every day, and I love it.
Yeah. So I go in and out. Like sometimes I'll have it in the morning instead of coffee.
Okay.
It's nice to have something warm. I find. Do you drink coffee?
Oh yes. Ooh, I love coffee. I love the taste of coffee. It's not for the caffeine. I just love the coffee flavor. Mm-hmm. I love the smell of fresh roasted coffee beans and such. I love that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, that's cool.
Yes.
Well, we had a great conversation.
Yes.
Instagram was going to cut us off, though.
Okay.
Yeah, we only get an hour. But I love talking to you. Thank you so much. Yes, and everybody who is here, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Your questions, and oh wow, fast guy lost 70 pounds on Carnivore. Wow.
Oh wow.
I'm gonna hear your story. Definitely send me a DM. Let's talk. And Tanny Blue says it's nice to see women talking about food and health. Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah. So wow, look at all these people. I'm so sorry I can't get to all of your messages, but it's really great that you were here. Medium rare liver steak. Oh, you like that. So Andressa likes that. Wow, good stuff.
Yes, very true.
All right.
So I can't wait for us to talk again, and I think it's wonderful that we're Saras, we're Deltas, we're spreading this word. So that's going to be really cool too. Yeah.
I know. I love that too.
Right. All right. You have a good night.
All right. You too.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.